Love.
Love?
Love.
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 I love volleyball.
I love music.
I love painting.
I love rain.
I love long drives.
I love reading.
I love coffee.
I also love coffee.
I love shopping.
I love laughing.
I love my friends.
I love my family.
I love Jesus.
You what?
I love Jesus.
But why?
Because.
That's not an answer.
Because he's cool?
What?
I don't know. What do you want to hear? Because he's holy?
So what?
Because he loves me.
He what?
He loves me just as much as I love him.
Well, how do you know that?
Because he made the ultimate sacrifice just for us.
Wait, does that mean he loves me too?
Yes.
Yes?
He loves you.
He loves me?
Even when you don't feel like you deserve it.
When you don't think you need it.
When you can't immediately see it.
When you need it the most.
He loves you.
He loves you. So now what?
We share it.
Share what?
The love of Jesus.
We can do that?
Of course we can.
But how? We are loving our neighbors as ourselves.
And ourselves as we love God.
So I love my neighbor.
I love God.
I love me.
I love me.
Love. It's one of the most powerful words, emotions, feelings out there. The ancient Greeks had 5 different words for love. Can you imagine being surrounded by so much love? You need 5 words to encapsulate it all. Now today we kind of combine it all into one mishmash of an unexplored yet understood emotion. We all have our own love stories. I start mine when I was back in being a little baby. I remember falling in love with my favorite stuffed animal in the whole wide world, Lammy. Then I hit elementary school, came first, and I can vividly remember convincing myself that the only reason a boy would pull at your hair or kick your feet out from underneath you on the playground was because he loved you. Then we jumped to middle school. Everyone knew everything in middle school, right? I have several notebooks filled with cursive names of my first name and Loverboy's last name. But we were just kids, right? High school. High school is where you really know everything there is about love. It's smooth sailing at that point. Love is just real. Everyone ends up with their high school sweetheart, and there's the end of the story. No? You disagree? It's not smooth sailing from there? It's allowed to be messy and hard and teach us lessons. We're allowed to feel those heartbreaks and move on. Find someone else. I can attest, and I'm sure future me will say it way better than freshly graduated Paige as she stands before you. But no, love isn't easy. Love isn't perfect. Love hurts, and that's okay. But I know more about love than I'm giving myself credit for. You may be thinking, but Paige, you just told us that you graduated high school. You said you aren't old enough, you aren't wise enough to know anything about love yet. But aha, I say back, did you already forget? I love my neighbors. But in that statement, I also must love myself. And if I'm going to love myself, then I must love God.
Ever since I was a little girl about to go into 3rd grade, I have attended the same church camp every summer. Chapel Rock is an Episcopal church camp in Prescott, Arizona. When I was little, it was all about the crafts and the fun activities like making friendship bracelets, climbing the rock wall, and eating s'mores by the fire. But as I began to grow up and become closer with God, I realized what this camp was all about. It wasn't until one specific night at this camp when I realized what the whole purpose of it was. We do prayer stations one night every time I go, and it's always a very emotional night for everybody at camp. I remember I was sitting with my 2 friends, Maya and Destiny, who I had met 2 years before this time. We were talking about personal things and just sitting in the grass, and then all of a sudden we just stopped talking and laid down in the grass and looked up into the trees at the stars. The way that the branches and the leaves swayed in the slight breeze made me feel as though God was present all around me. and at that very moment, I felt as though God was there to help me. I realized I wasn't at camp just to have fun. I was at camp because it was something that was put into my life to show me the love of God. I was struggling with a tough loss in my life for the first time, and I finally felt at peace and comforted. I knew God had sent me to the camp this year to show me that He loves me not even through the darkest times, but through the best ones too. Camp has now become a place of sanctity for me because it's the 1 week out of the year I can disconnect from the so-called real world and take a walk into this new world where I'm fully connected with God and can really take in what He is offering me. I now realize that this is a time for me to reset and fully commit myself to God. Camp has also helped me realize how you never really understand what people are going through. There are so many different kinds of kids at camp, and you really get to know everyone through big group gatherings and understand the reasons why they're at camp. Some of them grew up in not so good neighborhoods, others have a lot of family problems or personal issues that they're dealing with, and other kids are there just to have a good time and support the kids who need it. It's a journey of self-discovery that not only helps you love all kinds of people, but how to love yourself and how to love God on a deeper level. Whenever I leave this camp, I'm always very sad to see all of my new friends leave. But I know that all the support they have given me through this week of discovery and all the support I have given them is going to help everyone become stronger and see God's light through a new perspective. After this year at camp, I started to get more involved with youth group, and I was confirmed at the Vale campus with Grace, Amanda, and Brennan. It was another difficult journey, but I used the support I had from Reverend Candace, my parents, my sister, and my other friends who were getting confirmed with me. I was very excited to share this experience at camp this year, but unfortunately it was canceled due to the coronavirus. But just because camp was canceled doesn't mean I won't continue to try and grow my relationship with God. God is one of the most consistent things in my life, and I know that He will never let me down. Even in the hard times, I will take this camp experience as a constant reminder of God's love and how He can help me and everybody else work through the toughest times.
My story begins at Desert Skies. Approximately 8 years ago, I was in 4th grade when I first started coming. I jumped right into Sunday school and promoted my way up to youth group, completed confirmation and was baptized. Then I got really deeper involved. Gave my first sermon, felt the calling to ministry, and was hired on as an intern right before the virus thought it could take hold of our lives. So yes, to say the least, Desert Skies is where I can say I found God. I watched Him work in the life of the church, in the lives of the people there, and evidently in the life of my own. So yes, the journey has been one of great self-discovery, of challenges, overcoming some self-doubt, and putting a lot of trust in God. Through small victories, impossible without Him, and putting all the trust I had in Him, I was left clinging to the Lord that I knew would always be there. I, like Olivia, found a lot of respite in ways, away from the busyness of life at camps. Mine, personally, were all the mission trips that I've gone on since 6th grade. They're in a truly extraordinary way to disconnect yourself from the busyness of the world, to really focus on, for 1 week even, to focus on yourself and on those around you, working in a community that really appreciates you being there. The feeling is like no other, and I hope everyone, no matter how experienced you are in life, mission trips, or any act of community service similar, are full of humbling and inspirational moments that everyone should have the opportunity to participate in. Now, I'm sure many of you can remember your wild high school days. A lot is thrown at our youth on a day-to-day, and while we can't always know and understand the consequences of our decisions, that is, consequences good or bad, we can continue to try our hardest to make every action, every day, and so on. Mirror the desires of the Lord.
God has so much mercy and love for us and has made so many sacrifices to show us his love. As Christ followers, we should be reflecting that in our everyday lives, not only with just reading the Bible, attending church, tithing, and praying, but with our actions as well. God made Jesus in his image and wants us to be the best kind of people we can be. Would you tell a little white lie that you forgot your homework at home and when you really didn't do it? Or would you tell a white lie at your work so you would get out of doing a certain task? If you found a wallet on the ground, would you take the money out of it and then return the wallet? I'm sure a lot of us have done little things like this, and that's okay. God forgives us and is willing to give us more chances to love him and follow in his footsteps. These little tasks of integrity can help us show God that we know what the right thing to do is and reflect his love back to him. It is our way of showing his mercy the way he has shown it to us. God's love is unconditional, and it's important to remember that even when we do mess up and tell that white lie or take a couple dollars out of that wallet and don't do the right thing, he will always be there to forgive us and to show us the unconditional love he has.
So we take on the little actions of a day-to-day life. We give back that $100. We hold the door open for our friends and neighbors and our even strangers. But when do those little actions turn into a Christian life? Turn into a life worth living? Turn into a life that God and Jesus and yourself can be proud of? It's when we start to accept it. It's when that becomes habit. It's not just a thought about doing a nice thing or being God to someone else. It's when that just is part of us. When every day we hold the door open, when every day we return $100 and maybe an even extra $100 because we know that they could use it more than we can. It's when we accept God into our lives, and it's when we accept his plans into our lives and let him take over, that we are truly able to live a Christ-like life that serves the world. We share his love. We love neighbors as ourselves. We love ourselves as we love God. We follow every other 10 commandments because we know that God put them in place for us to do, for us to learn from, for us to grow from. And if we were to forget that, he'd still be right there to remind us. But it's not nearly as satisfying as knowing that you did it for him. So we graduate. We move on. We continue through our lives into every transition. And we grow. We grow a little deeper in our faith. We grow a little bit more to accept God. And we appreciate what he's given us. Because we can't do it on our own. That love is not one-sided. It's not that he can just love us and we're so much better. We have to love him back. We have to accept God into our lives, and we have to understand why he's there. Why Jesus died on the cross for us. And it's then that we can truly graduate.